podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks, 200 stations strong all over the country, on Saturday, December 21st, 2019. This is episode 1654. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Brave. Brave is the browser reimagined. Switch now to get unmatched speed and privacy, and stop trackers from following you. Save battery life and earn rewards by opting into privacy-respecting ads. Brave is free and easy to switch to. Go to brave.com/twit and switch to Brave today. And by DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean offers the simplest, most developer-friendly cloud platform that scales as you grow. Get started today for free with a free $50 credit at do.co/twit. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet, home theater and digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888, ask Leo on the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach me, but you have to use Skype out or something like that. Something that'll let you call a phone from over the internet. I think, I always say Skype out, but I'm sure other apps like WhatsApp will let you do that, right? I don't know. I've only done it with a Skype out. But generally, if you do it with Skype out, which you have to pay a little for, I think, but the call should be free because it's a toll-free call in the U.S. 8888 Ask Leo. We are getting ready for the holidays. Hanukkah starts tomorrow. Christmas is a couple of days later. I hope you've got your shopping done. If you want to help, want me to help a little bit, because shopping for a geek is a kind of a specialized thing. In fact, generally, I would say if you're shopping for somebody who is into technology, you ask them, what do you want? What do you want? Because I wouldn't presume. But if you have a question, I'll be glad to answer it. 888-827-5536. We should also mention the website, which is techguylabs.com. That's very handy because it's where we put all the stuff we talk about, so you don't have to write anything down. I get James DeRuvo is taking notes as we go. He's typing really quickly, and so he's keeping track of all of this, and it's free. There's no sign up, and we even put audio and video from the show after the fact, and we encourage our listeners to also add to it. There's a comment section, so if you hear me say something you disagree with, or maybe you want to elaborate, the comment section's always there for you. techguylabs.com. There's a lot of other interactions going on behind the scenes. We have a chat room. I call them Team Tech Guy. A couple hundred people who are particularly nerdy, because they're in an IRC chat room. That's irc.twit.tv. Twit is our podcast network. irc.twit.tv. And if you go there, you can ask questions there. There's a help desk, but there's also it's a good techie conversation going on. We have a forum as well, which is relatively new. I think forums are coming back. I think as people get fed up with these kind of global social networks, local social networks are becoming more popular. Maybe not locals, maybe not the word in this case. Topical, organized by interest. And there's a lot of those. And honestly, I think in some ways they're a better social network because they're a little smaller. You don't get the weird trolling. You don't get the... How many accounts did Facebook and Twitter have to kill just the other day? Because they were created by artificial intelligence. It's really a scary time because social networking, social media, particularly Facebook and Twitter, have been discovered by the bad guys, and they're using it in kind of, I think, unfortunate ways. The Epoch Times, which is a kind of a suspect news source, shall we put it. The Epic Media Group was apparently using this article in the New York Times says artificial intelligence. I don't think that's quite fair, but they were generating using a computer program thousands or at least hundreds of fake Facebook and apparently Twitter. We call them sock puppets, fakes that looked like real people. And then once you have thousands of these fake real people, you can self-reinforce, and people then go to a site and say, oh, look at all the people interacting here and liking and thumbs upping, and wow, this must be true. And so it's a very effective way to trick people effectively. Facebook has not been good at this, at shutting this stuff down. So it's remarkable that they did do this. But I feel like Facebook is a prime place where this kind of stuff happens. Sigh. I have to mark the passing on the 15th of a legend in the tech business. His name was Chuck Peddle. He's sometimes called the father of personal computing. The father of personal computing. He invented the microprocessor that I cut my teeth on. Many of you cut your teeth on, the 6502 for MOS Technologies. 6502 was the processor in the Apple II computer. Now, it was a terrible, by the way, a terrible processor, but it was cheap. And I know that Woz probably wanted to use the Z80, which from Zilog, which at the time was a much better processor, but the part was cheaper, and so they said, all right, we'll do the 6502. However, without the 6502, you wouldn't have Apple. You wouldn't have Commodore. You wouldn't have Nintendo. You wouldn't have Atari. You wouldn't also have the ARM processor. So his work was really significant. And he was 82 years old and kind of a legend. Charles Ingraham Peddle passed away. So we should just acknowledge that, because I think we're at the stage now in personal computing. It's been around for a while, and some of these early pioneers are starting to pass away, and so we kind of want to acknowledge what they've done and what they accomplished. He started, I'm happy to say, in a radio station in high school. So worked at Motorola on the 6800. He decided he wanted to make a really inexpensive processor. Left Motorola to MOS Technology, where he made a $25 processor, the 6502. 15% of the cost of an Intel 8080, which, of course, was later used by IBM in their computers. It was also used in the BBC Micro, which was the inspiration, I think, for ARM later, and for the Raspberry Pi. So really a computer pioneer, Chuck Peddle. I wanted to mark his passing. What else is going on? The space station got a heart transplant. Did you see that? The International Space Station has been running on very, very expensive computers. The orbital tracking computers are really important. They keep it in orbit. They've been running they were built almost 20 years ago. They've been running almost all that time. They were built by Airbus. They're fault tolerant. You can't just put your PC in space because it's being bombarded by cosmic rays. It's kind of not a friendly environment for personal computing technology. So these were designed to survive. There were, of course, 3 units working at the same time, 2 active and 1 standby, because, well, you don't want your orbital computer to fail. And then there was a 4th computer kept as a spare, but they were pretty old. I mean, I don't think, are you using a 20-year-old computer? I thought nobody does, right? Which means they probably weren't very fast. They got the job done. That's the most important thing. So it's a fascinating story. I recommend it from ESA.int, the European Space Agency, talks about the complicated process of doing open heart surgery, they called it, in space. Because the computers were never designed for maintenance in orbit. They were closed not only with small, difficult-to-use screws, but sometimes even glued together, much like your modern laptops. So Russian cosmonauts had to practice on Earth many, many times with those big, heavy gloves because they had to do it, maybe they're inside. Maybe it wasn't a spacewalk, but still hard to do in zero gravity. So they kept a failed computer in orbit, and the reason they did that is so the astronauts could practice on the broken computer once they got out there. In January 2019, the older board was replaced with new stock. They confirmed it had survived the operation, but they weren't sure that they should trust it. So it took them a whole year to check it. Last month, one of the old computers had problems. It was removed and replaced with the new unit. That's a scary moment. And all is working well. All is working well. So a heart transplant for the International Space Station computer. One more story, another Facebook story, not a happy story. I am, every time I read these stories, I go, I am glad I'm not on Facebook anymore. And I know a lot of you can't leave. This is how you stay in touch with family, friends, high school sweethearts, cat pictures. So, Senators Josh Hawley of Missouri and Chris Coons of Delaware asked Facebook last month to respect users' decisions to keep their location private. So you can open Facebook on your phone and say, do not track me, do not track my location. But turns out, Facebook tracks you anyway. Oh, what a surprise. They don't use, the iPhone, for instance, says, well, now you can't have that information. But Facebook says, well, we can still estimate locations to target ads even when they turned off location tracking. Facebook wrote in the letter to the senators, we use context clues, the locations they tag in photos, as well as their devices' IP addresses, which can kind of tell you where you are. Facebook says it's not as precise as we'd like, but we do use it for several reasons, including alerting users when their accounts have been accessed in unusual places. That's good. In fact, Ring, people were yelling at Ring doorbells because Ring didn't say anything if somebody logged in from China to access your doorbell or somewhere you hadn't been. And so we can't have it both ways. Do we want Facebook to tell us that or not? Facebook also, though, they said, targets ads based on the information they get when users turn off or limit tracking. They don't allow users to turn off location-based ads. Location-based ads, you're driving by the pizza parlor. It says, hey, I see you're near Domino's. Would you like a large for just $4.99? Facebook says we have to leave that on. Otherwise, people in Washington, D.C. would get ads for services or events in London and vice versa. Oh, no. Josh Hawley, Senator Hawley, a frequent tech critic, tweeted, Facebook admits it, turn off location services, and they're still tracking your location to make money by sending you ads. There's no opting out. Now, he's using this as incentive and excuse to regulate big tech. You can't have it both ways. Honestly, my attitude is Facebook's a free service. The way they pay for that service is by sending you ads that are made more valuable by knowing where you are. And that as long as you're using that free service, you're kind of part of the deal is they're going to make money on you somehow. They have to. You cost them money. My choice is to opt out. And I don't think that's a bad choice, honestly. I think that's the ethical thing to do. If you don't like it, then just don't do it. Don't use it. And I understand many of us say, well, no, we have to use it because, otherwise I don't know what Granny's up to. Well, then you got to kind of accept the fact that they're going to monetize you somehow. And they, I think, have every right to. Honestly, I really think they do. I don't think that that's too much to ask. You're costing them money. And so when you're using a free service, that's part of the deal. That's what happens with the free service. That's why I kind of prefer to use paid services. And it's why I'm kind of bullish on this notion of maybe smaller social networks that people use that, are more personal, that kind of thing. I don't know. What do you think? Do you have to use Facebook? Should Facebook be forced to allow you to use it for free effectively? That's what the California privacy law basically says. That's what GDPR basically says as well. Yeah, but you got to use it for free if you want to use it. 8888S, Leo. Let's talk about that. Poor Kim. You feel obligated to dance to your music. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Kim Schaffer. No, Schaffer. Kim Schaffer is our phone angel. She answers the calls. She puts you on the air. She prepares you for your appearance on national radio. Hello, Kim.
Good morning.
It's getting to look a lot like Christmas. Are you ready?
I got the red for its dual purpose. It's Christmas. It's 49ers.
There's a game today, which is weird. Yeah,
a weird Saturday game.
And a must-win game, I think.
Yeah, well.
So Kim is the person who picks up the phone when you dial in, so you should say hi and be nice.
Everybody's very nice.
Yeah, it's that special time.
It's a special
We
time.
should mention next week, there's a show, but it'll be a repeat because nobody wants to work in between Christmas and New Year's. So, but it'll be a good show. It's not like, it's not like we're just throwing stuff out the door at you.
At the wall.
No, we're taking the best show and putting it on. So
taking clips from all year round.
I don't think so, but I don't know. It's up to Lady Laura. What are you going to do, Lady Laura?
She goes, "That's not a."
She hasn't figured it out. She says, "I think
I got a week.
She's going to go to the file cabinet. Just go round and round. She goes where she stops. Nobody knows. Boom, this one.
There you go. That works.
This one.
That's kind of how I choose my calls.
Oh, that's good to know.
I'm kidding.
You're not putting a lot of care into that, huh?
I'm kidding.
So give us a start. Give us something
How about
new.
Al in Jacksonville, Florida? He needs some help or insight or what do you... YouTube TV, YouTube television. I don't know anything about it.
I know everything about it.
It'll be a learning
I'm
experience
a fan.
for me, too.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, Alan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo Laporte, let me be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Bless you, sir. Thank you. You too.
And one other quick thing. Do I have to see my eye doctor in order to see you in 2020?
Are you going to say that to everybody you run into for the next 6 weeks? 2020. I never thought of that, but you're right. It's a weird year, does it? It feels like the future somehow.
Yes, it does.
So I am going to run out of time here before I can tell you everything you want to know about YouTube TV. What particularly would you like to know?
Do I need internet service to take advantage?
Yes. It's a what we call an over-the-top service. But I'll talk more about it in a bit. And Scott Wilkinson coming up. Perfect short call because I had to put him on hold. So, yeah, if you don't have do you not have internet, Al?
Yeah, I have it. I'm just, sometimes you see these headlines that just dazzle me, and I'm saying cord cutting. What does that exactly mean? What about?
Well, I'll give you the ins. I'll give you the ins and outs. So, first of all, you have to have internet service, and you want probably pretty speedy internet service because you're going to be streaming high quality video over the internet. So, you want 25 megabits per second down as kind of a minimum. So don't get the cheap DSL, 2 megabits down. It won't do it for you. So let's say in most cases that's going to be minimum $40 for the internet, 40 to 60 in my case because I have cable internet. And YouTube TV is $50 a month. So you're now at $90 a month. What YouTube TV does give you that's great is you get your local channels and you get a built-in video recorder. So you can say, as I did, I want to record the football game, the 49ers game, and it just records that for me, and I can watch that at any time. It also gives you some premium channels. Some are free, but if you want HBO or Showtime or Stars, that kind of stuff, you'll have to pay more. It ends up being pretty much the same as a basic cable package. The only difference is because it's internet, you can watch it on your phone, your computer, a tablet, smart TV, and all that stuff. Now, you have to have a TV that's connected to the internet and a Roku or a smart TV or something like that, Apple TV, so that you can see it. It doesn't show up on any channel on your television. So it does let you cord cut, but this is the problem with cord cutting these days. As soon as you start putting anything on it, you're going to pay the same amount. See what I say?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. One other quick question. Wi-Fi or Ether, which is the better for me?
I like having Ethernet on my streaming stuff. It's just a little faster, a little more consistent, but it's not convenient for several of my TVs in the house, so they're on Wi-Fi and they work fine. Ethernet, if it's easy, if you're next to your internet connection, if you're next to it, then do Ethernet for sure. But if it's across the house, which it is for me, then we use Wi-Fi, and it works okay. Wi-Fi has, it hesitates sometimes, but most smart TV devices are capable of getting around that. But you might see a little hesitation or stuttering sometimes. And of course, your speed is slower on Wi-Fi. If you have Ethernet, you're going to get the full speed provided by your ISP.
Thank you, Leo, and I'll see you in 2020.
With perfect vision, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Alan.
All right, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Scott Wilkinson, home theater guy and singing fool, is here. Singing fool. We are coming up on Hanukkah tomorrow. And then it's Christmas next week. So
and then CES, of course.
The gift that keeps on giving for weeks after as you cough and hack and get better after all the. Is there any way to go to the Consumer Electronics Show and not get the CES flu?
CES crud.
Yeah.
I hope not. I had it a couple weeks ago, so hopefully.
Well, I'm going to wash my hands. I'm not going to.
Oh, yeah.
Should we bump elbows with people instead of shaking hands with them?
I did that one year. I did the fist bump with people.
Did that help?
Specifically. I don't know. I don't know.
Mostly it's hard on your tootsies. There's a lot of walking to do.
Oh, yeah. I'll have my pedometer with me.
So we're going to be doing some special segments with Scott from the TV area. So this will be January 8th. I think these will go up, or 8th or 9th. It starts
something like that.
We'll meet you on the 7th.
Right.
To record, and then it'll take us a little while to get those out. But we're gonna take a tour of all the TVs and stuff, and you'll be able to see those on Twit.
Actually, the 8th.
The 8th.
We're meeting up on the 8th.
So it'll be the 9th then. Okay. So twit.tv/events, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
No, it should be great fun. We'll visit LG and Samsung and Sony and TCL. The big TV makers.
Anything exciting and new coming at CES?
Well, sure, but I can't tell you now. I'm under embargo.
He is like Santa Claus, isn't he? He wants to. So,
well, I can't really talk about it much now because I have had some briefings, but they're under embargo.
Yeah.
And when we get there, we'll see some stuff. I mean, I can tell you in general, we're going to see 8K, a bunch of 8K. We're going to see. That'll be fun. We'll see a bunch, some ATSC 3.0 tuners built into TVs.
Of course, we'll be shooting this on 4K, distributing it at 720p. So, by the way, we do also have a YouTube channel. That'll be the best place to see it. YouTube.com/twit. All of our CES coverage will be there, and there's going to be dozens of pieces. We're not going to do. I decided instead of doing big long pieces with lots of products, we'll do one product, one piece, or one company, one piece.
Yeah, just a few minutes.
There'll be an LG piece, there'll be a Sony piece, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
And maybe we'll do an 8K piece and just talk about 8K for a while.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I know Sharp will have 8K. I know other companies will as well. So, yeah, there'll be a bunch of stuff to talk about, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you.
Good.
Meanwhile,
back at home.
back at home, I went and saw Star Wars last night.
Okay, no spoilers.
No spoilers. Not going to give you any spoilers. But I have to say I was pretty disappointed.
Well, that's not a spoiler because if you're on Twitter, you see the tears being shed by Star Wars fans.
Yeah. The plot feels very sort of stitched together. Like they took this little piece and they put it onto the next piece, and they put it onto the next piece. A lot of nostalgia. A lot of the old characters come back. I mean, people have written about this for a long time, so we know that Carrie Fisher comes back as Princess Leia, and they took footage from the previous movie since she has passed away, and they integrated it in there pretty well. I thought that looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So that was good. I saw it in a Dolby Cinema, which is, high dynamic range commercial cinema. And I have to tell you, it was not the best Dolby Cinema I've seen in terms of HDR, high dynamic range. It was okay. It was certainly better than a regular commercial cinema. But the deep black of space, for example, it simply wasn't as deep as I've seen in other movies.
Oh, that's disappointing.
It was disappointing. Yeah. It was. And
is that the theater that you went to, or you think that this is the? Okay.
Oh, I think it was the grade. Yeah, I think it was how they made it. I don't think if I had gone to a different. So it looked that
way at any Dolby theater.
I think so. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it in another Dolby cinema, but I can't imagine. Dolby keeps a pretty tight control on movies released in the Dolby cinema, so I can't imagine that they would have had it in one Dolby cinema that looked different than another. I'm sure they all look roughly the same. It's also very loud. I think I got an average of 99 dB flat, which would be probably 89 dBA, which is a weighted decibel scale, which is what they normally use to specify these things. It should have been 85. So it was well over the maximum average.
So it was too loud? Is that what
it was too
translate
loud.
That for me. It was too loud.
Translate that it's too
it hurt my
damn
ears.
Loud.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that's in the control of the theater. I mean, you can turn it down, right?
Correct.
Don't they have a knob in the projection room?
They do. Yeah. In fact, there's a Dolby audio processor. This is Dolby Atmos as well. So you've got speakers overhead and you got speakers all around. And there's an Atmos processor with a knob that you can turn the master volume, and the standard is to set that knob to number 7. I imagine it might go to 11, but they say to put it on 7. And I think that that's still too loud. I would turn it down from there. But
would you wear earplugs to this?
Yeah, I would. I did.
Wow. Well, I'll bring mine. I have my Apple Watch now has a sound pressure meter that will actually warn you if the sound goes above.
Really?
Yeah, which I think is really good. I'm going to turn that on so that I'll have that.
Yeah. Please do.
Yeah.
Please do.
I'd be a little suspicious
of how well the microphone in a watch performs.
Yeah, but it's Apple. So
it's probably pretty good.
I bet it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. One other interesting thing I noticed in the movie was that there's music almost continuously for 2.5 hours. You know what
when I see that or hear that, I should say.
Yeah.
I hear that, it tells me that the filmmaker or the video maker didn't have the confidence in the content and had to jolly people along. Well, we know the movie's terrible, but at least the music's going to be good.
At least the music's good. It's more John Williams.
I always feel like that if they overdo it,
I had that same thought. That they kind of overdid the music. I have a friend actually who played on the score. And I didn't hear anything about, he couldn't say anything. In fact, he said when he was recording the score, they couldn't even see the movie. John Williams was actually looking at a little monitor on the podium. They were so tight with security. Normally, when you're playing a score, you have the picture on a big screen.
So they just had to look at the conductor, and he would give him the cue.
That's right.
Wow. No talking. Well, it's the last of the 9, right?
There's the last of the what's called the Skywalker saga.
Thank God.
It's not the last we've seen of Star Wars, though. I'm sure of that.
We've mined the mother lode. We've got every nugget out of there, and
we did. I've not been a fan of the J.J. Abrams' last trilogy, anyway. And this one
is this J.J. Abrams again?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How are the specular highlights? He's a big fan of those bright flashes of light.
I didn't see any lens flare, which was so prevalent in Star Trek. But yeah, there are certainly some specular highlights and lots of explosions and fights and stuff like that all the time.
I go to these. They're cotton candy movies. We're going Christmas Eve, and I go. It'll be there for the fun.
It's fun, just don't expect great movie.
I will bring earplugs.
And bring earplugs.
And I've got my audio monitor turned on now.
I'll be interested to hear what you find.
Scott Wilkinson's our home theater geek, a contributor at techhive.com. You can read his reviews and information there. And, of course, he joins us every week to talk AV. I'm going to talk a little bit more about YouTube TV when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You're supposed to see Die Hard, says Jersey Fudge, on Christmas Eve. Well, we're going to the 3 o'clock show, so we'll be able to watch Die Hard that night.
That turned out to be a quote-unquote Christmas movie. It's not meant to be, but it's set during Christmas time.
Yeah, it was Christmas, yeah.
User 4055, good. I'm sure Star Wars has to be better than Cats. Man, that thing's been getting just pummeled.
Really? Now I want to see
in the reviews. Just terrible. I mean, it's got like a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes, something like that.
All right, take over. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, and can you stay around for the top?
Sure, happy to.
Talk to you in a bit.
Hey, everybody. Web 8432. In summation, it was 2.5 hours of torture. Skip this one. I guess you're talking about Star Wars. Yeah, it was not very good. To tell you the truth, I kind of started falling asleep. So sorry about that. Jersey Fudge. I have developed tinnitus over the last 6 weeks, hoping it's related to the cold you have. It might be. That can be the result of inner ear infection, sinus infection, but I would have it checked out. If you've had it for 6 weeks, I would definitely go to an ENT and have that checked out because it ain't no fun. Let's see, Beatmaster. If I haven't seen it yet, you should see the extended Tenant trailer in IMAX, the new Christopher Nolan movie. I saw a trailer yesterday. Before Star Wars, and it looked pretty interesting, to tell you the truth. So I am interested in that. If there's an extended trailer, maybe there's an extended trailer online I can see. Hey, Loquacious, good to see you. Hope you're having a good holiday season. Back in Philly, my favorite Christmas movie is Elf. I never saw that one. I'm not a big Will Ferrell fan, but maybe I should... Maybe I should check that out. Ooh, Nomad recently saw Joker, the most depressing movie he's seen in a long time. Yeah, that's what I heard, and that's why I didn't go to see it. I'm not into depressing movies at all, or horror movies. The SNL parody of Joker was hysterical. I missed that. I'll have to check that out. User 4055, diabetics can get tinnitus too. I didn't realize that. Oh, that's interesting. Like I say, I have heard of it in inner ear infections, sinus infections. So hopefully it's temporary. Hopefully it's temporary. I really hope that's true, because if it isn't, there is no cure. So, good. Back in Philly, put up the YouTube of the SNL Joker parody. I want to go check that out for sure. So I hope everybody's having a great holiday season. We are going to be out of town, actually, for Christmas. First time in a very long time. Since my mom passed away last year, we've always stuck around for Christmas, to spend with her. And now that she's not here, my wife and I decided to get out of town for Christmas. So, Mike Heiss, how loud was Star Wars? As I say, let me just look at my app real quick. The average in flat dB was 99 point something, which is quite high. And I didn't look at the peaks. I'll have to look at the peaks. But let me see here. If I go to my app, which, by the way, I use with a...
Tell you what, hold that thought.
Yeah.
See at the top?
You bet.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. So Al called earlier to ask about YouTube TV. His first question, do you need internet? Yes. He's heard, as many of us have, about cord cutting. The idea of, relief, get rid of the cable company. Nobody likes the cable company, do they? Maybe there's some cable companies people like, but in general, get rid of the cable company and do it all over the top. That's the phrase the industry uses, over the top, which means over the top of your internet connection. So you no longer have a connection. You know, cable. So a little history. In my day, you youngsters don't remember this, there were 3 networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC. and they were on a local television station, would be an affiliate, Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 11, whatever it is. And you'd have rabbit ears on your TV set, and you'd tune the TV to Channel 4, and there's your Chet Huntley and David Brinkley with the Huntley-Brinkley Report, or Walter Cronkite on CBS, and that'd be your TV. And every Thanksgiving they'd show Wizard of Oz. Every Christmas, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Oh no, that's the Halloween one. What's the Christmas one? The one with a bad tree. Anyway, and that would be it. That's your choice. You watch what's on those 3 channels, and that's it. Eventually, more channels came along. Eventually, VHS came along. You could record stuff. That was the beginning of the end for this whole thing, because as soon as people said, "Oh, I can time shift. I don't have to watch The Wizard of Oz on Thanksgiving. I can record it and watch it next Easter." Wow. Life changed. That was a big shift. The problem was there are a lot of places in this country where and I'm in one of them, where we're not near enough the big city to get the television. You have, maybe you put an antenna on your roof, and if you're lucky, and you have a powerful amplifier, somehow you get a signal. But here, we really can't get anything. We can't get the big city stations. So this is when the cable companies started, and it was really simple at first. The cable companies put up a big antenna, a big tower, and then dug a trench from that tower to your house. And basically, you were still using the antenna, but it was their antenna. It was a shared antenna. And that was the start of cable companies. They were basically ditch diggers. And it was actually a good business. It's a good business. Now, things changed over time, and really nowadays most cable companies don't have antennas. They have direct feeds from your local channels. They don't have to, but they might have a satellite farm, and they pick up other stuff via satellite. This show's distributed via satellite. This is very common for content to be delivered via satellite. And the cable industry as we know it kind of was born, where you get hundreds of stations. It was a big deal. I remember early on, I think it was Brian Roberts, the chairman of Comcast, who said, someday you'll have 500 channels. And we all went, ooh, ah. What he didn't say is 500 channels, 499 of which are showing junk you don't want to watch. But that's, anyway. So that was it for TV, right? That was the highlight. And the cable boxes came out. And in fact, right about that time, TiVo came out. That was a hard drive-based computer system that let you record your cable TV. So it was basically we called them digital video recorders compared to a VHS recorder. It didn't use tape. It recorded digitally onto a hard drive. Cable companies put out their own DVRs. But it wasn't until widespread broadband internet access came out that this alternative arose. Turned out you could bypass the cable companies. Don't have to buy your TV from them. A lot of people wanted to do that because cable companies at the time were selling bundles, In fact, they still pretty much do. If you want Turner Classic Movies, you're going to have to buy a bundle that includes maybe 15 other channels you don't want, and it's going to cost a lot of money. And you might have noticed cable bills have been going up and up and up over the last 20 years. Partly that's because the cable companies knew that the internet was coming. In fact, most cable companies got into the internet business. We got a big, fat coaxial cable going into everybody's house. Why don't we just put the internet on there, too? We got room. The internet only occupies the equivalent of one television channel. Okay, let's do it. 499 channels plus the internet. But that's when their troubles began, because people started discovering they could get content over the internet via Netflix and Amazon Prime. And eventually Showtime, this was a very touchy subject. Showtime and HBO, you know, they're beholden to the cable companies. That's how they got delivered into most households. So they didn't want to make the cable companies mad by any means. But at the same time, they thought it'd be nice to have a direct relationship with our customers, sell direct to them. And eventually, I don't know how they worked it out. They managed to do this without the cable companies going crazy. And HBO Now was created. That's a $15 a month subscription, so you can get HBO over the top, over the internet, instead of through the cable. Showtime Anytime, or is it? I can't remember what they call it. But anyway, many of the cable channels started to do this. So this was a big breakthrough. ESPN, a big breakthrough. Now you can buy it directly as a customer. Cable companies weren't dumb, though. They realized you're still going to need internet, and in most cases, you're going to need fast internet from your cable company. So they slowly raised the price of the internet. So now if you're a cord cutter, yeah, you can get rid of the TV package, but you still need the internet package. And unless you're lucky enough to live in an area where somebody's come along and provided fiber, like Verizon or Google, you're pretty much stuck with the cable company and the phone company. And the phone company, using an older technology called DSL, doesn't really give you a high speed, so most people are still paying the cable company, and they're paying them $60 a month for the internet. The cable company doesn't really mind. They're going to get you one way or the other. And then you add to that. So YouTube TV is an interesting way to do this, because the first thing that happens when you turn off the cables, you lose your local stations. Those things that we used to put rabbit ears on the TV. The local stations and the cable companies dug in the ditch, and that was the big thing they were bringing you, is those locals. And people want live for the news. They want live for special events like the Super Bowl and the Academy Awards and things like that. And if you don't have your channels 4, 7, and 11, you kind of out of luck. Big breakthrough occurred last year, 2018, where a number of companies, including Sony, AT&T, and Google, started offering over-the-top services with local stations. At first, it was just a drib and a drab. Now, pretty much anywhere in the country, you can get your nearest city's local stations, which means you're going to get the live local news, the big events, big deal. So that's what YouTube TV offers. But what's the subscription price for YouTube TV? When they launched, to get a lot of people in the door, it was $35, but it's now $50. So your cable's $60 for the internet. YouTube TV's $50. Wait a minute, my cable bill is of $100 has now been replaced by an over-the-top bill of $110. You didn't save money. Oh, and did you want Showtime? Oh, that'll be another $15. So it ends up being pretty much, as far as I can tell, pretty much a push. Some people save money. And some people do it because they love it. They love the idea of sticking it to the man. At least I can, do something to the cable company. I like YouTube TV a lot. It has a built-in DVR. It has the ability to record. You can have 6 different people in your family with unique accounts, which means you can have a kid's account that's, only kids-friendly stuff is visible. You can have, mom can have her DVR, dad can have his DVR. And that's a nice feature. I really like YouTube TV. But it is expensive. And there's Hulu TV, it's $45. There's PlayStation View, depending on which package you get, $35 to more, $60, $70. So PlayStation's decided to kill View. And in fact, Mike Heiss in our chat room is saying that YouTube TV is apparently buying their subscriber list. So if you're a PlayStation View user, expect an offer from the Goog. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Hello, everybody. There's the clock. A big 7 minutes and 45 seconds. So Tokyo Tony put in the chat room, as those of you in the chat room saw, link to a tinnitus forum, which looks pretty interesting. For example, I didn't know that clonazepam could be an effective treatment to tinnitus. I know there's all sorts of retraining. I mean, the reason that there's a forum about it is that there is no clear-cut solution. I mean, I've talked to my ENT about it. There is a retraining system that he actually likes. I think it's called not Resync, Resomething. But it's a training. Basically, it's a retraining system that basically trains you to not pay as much attention to tinnitus, which, if for those of you who don't know, is ringing in the ears. It can exist as a single frequency, like a sine wave, high pitch. It can exist as a noise kind of situation. And if it gets loud enough, it can be debilitating. It can prevent sleep. It can really be a bad thing. So a lot of people want to find a cure for it, and there is no clear-cut cure for it, which is why there's a forum with all kinds of different possible treatments. And I just happened to look at one that said, that clonazepam had been, which is for restless leg syndrome, I believe, had been shown to be effective in a clinical trial against tinnitus. And man, oh man, that would be great. So anyway, that's that story. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Hang on a second. There I am. Howard asks how I clean my TV screen. I have a microfiber cleaner. Actually, journalists get a lot of those as little swag gifts, and so I just use those. Tim Elliott asked any good deals on the last weekend before Christmas. I don't know of any specifically. I followed the Black Friday deals. I'll take a look for the Super Bowl deals on TVs. I'm sure. I know that Klipsch is offering pretty good deals through the end of the year for speakers. And I think Puro Sound for headphones. One More, I think, is offering some good deals as well. I love One More. In fact, my review, I should have actually talked about this on the show. I just posted a review on Tech Hive comparing 3 different One More in-ear monitors, all wired, which some people might say, well, why would you even want wired? You've got true wireless now. And it's true that that technology is very good, but it's still Bluetooth. And for those of us who are primarily concerned with audio quality, wired connection is still better. And I noticed that in my review because I also compared those 3 wired headsets with the One More Stylish, which is a true wireless in-ear monitor, in-ear headphone. And the Stylish sounds really good. That's what I use at the gym, which isn't the best acoustic environment, but they achieve a good seal because of the right ear tips that I use. But on a side-by-side comparison, the wired ones sounded better. And interestingly, I tried the dual driver, the triple driver, and the quad driver, which have the number of drivers that are in their name. The dual driver is $50, the triple driver is $80, and the quad driver is $180 or $170, something like that. And interestingly, I found that the triple driver, I liked it best. The quad driver was very, very similar. The bass was maybe ever so slightly overblown on some tracks. But it was airier, certainly, because it has 3 balanced armature drivers and 1 dynamic driver for the low end. And one of those balanced armature drivers is for ultra-high frequencies. So it did have a bit more air at the top. But it's $170, whereas the triple driver is $80. And it sounded fantastic, well-balanced, really good. So that's the one that I recommended. I, in fact, gave it a 5, the first 5 per, the top score that I've ever given a product in review on Tech Hive. The quad got a 4.5 and the dual got a 4. So they all sound good. if you can only spend $50, the dual driver sounds fine. It's a little thinner. The bass was a little recessed, but again, I really only noticed that by doing direct side-by-side comparisons. I listened to the same tracks a total of 5 times, once with the dual, the triple, and the quad, and the stylish wireless, and the Revonex QT5, which I had reviewed very highly earlier in the year. But that thing cost $30. So I gave it a very high score. It sounded really good, and it still sounds really good, and it's even less than the dual driver. It's also a dual driver, by the way. Tim Elliott is totally convinced, totally satisfied with Bluetooth and the PSB M4U 8 headphones. And yeah, they sound really good over Bluetooth. Getting back to Tokyo Tony and tinnitus, he said clonazepam is used for anxiety. You're right. I made a mistake. I thought it was for restless leg, but it is for anxiety. And that may be part of the reason why it works for tinnitus. If it lowers your anxiety, tinnitus is anxiety producing. It makes you anxious to hear this sound all the time. And if you can lower your anxiety, maybe it doesn't bother you as much, and maybe that's the result of that trial. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. That's all I can say. But in any event, that's... let's see. Nomad was addicted to clonazepam. Same drug class as Valium, Xanax, and so on.
Side effects of clonazepam include drowsiness, dizziness, tiredness, loss of coordination. Increased saliva production may occur.
Exactly.
Seizures by a small number of people who take anticonvulsants for any condition may experience depression, suicidal thoughts, attempts, any other mental mood problems. Tell your doctor right away.
Sounds like you've read that before.
Sausage fingers. An inability to spit.
Okay, well, there you go. So, Leo, have a wonderful Christmas. I hope you enjoy Star Wars.
Thank you. I probably will enjoy it to the degree which it is enjoyable. Take care. Merry Christmas.
Look forward to seeing you in Vegas.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Just how do they calculate shopping days? Is it every day? Then it would be, 3 more shopping days till Christmas? If you've got a geek in mind and I can help you, please, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Or Canada. Outside that area, well, of course, you can still reach us via Skype. There are a lot of great gifts out there. In the past years, I've done gift guides, but I guess it's pretty well covered in general. I honestly think if you're going to buy for a geek, the best gift would be a gift card. I know you want to, put some thought into it and all that, and it feels kind of cheap to give somebody a Amazon card. You want to put a little more thought into it. Give them if they're really geeky, give them a Newegg gift card because that's a little more geeky. But Amazon's generally the safest bet. They can buy what works for them. Be careful about iTunes gift cards that are tied to a specific company like that, because if somebody isn't an iTunes user, it's not going to do them much good. If you know that, your giftee is an iTunes user. Our son, our 17-year-old, is a gamer. He likes getting those Steam gift cards. Steam is a gaming platform, which he's on, but there's no point in giving him a Steam gift card if they don't buy Steam games. So an Xbox Game Pass is another great gift if they're Xbox gamers or Xbox Gold. And these are all something you can do now and have, in plenty of time. There's nothing to be mailed usually. It's just a download. You print up something. Say, I gave you this. 8888 Ask Leo. I want to get back to the phones. We didn't get many calls in the last hour, and I want to get some more in. So let's start with Dennis, who's been patient in Marina Del Rey. Hello, Dennis. Thanks for hanging on.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking the call. Happy holidays to you and your family and your radio family as well.
Thank you. You too.
Hey, having problems with a mobile telephone, and I should be able to fix it because I made one of the first mobile telephones back in 1957. So.
What? No kidding. Who are you working for?
No, I was actually an amateur radio operator, and I was about 12 years old, and I had a wagon load full of auto batteries and a radio in there that hooked it up to my home unit, which was a phone patch, and
wow.
It only lasted for about 30 minutes and then died, but it was fun to do.
Well, in those days, I mean, that's because you didn't have lithium-ion batteries in those days, and so
no.
That's why those early Motorola mobile phones had those that you carried a satchel with a battery in it, weighed about 20 pounds.
Yeah. And then I had an inverter back in the early 70s, and I put it on the car and threw a big old TV in the back screen and went to a drive-in restaurant, and it was just for the shock value. It was kind of fun.
Oh, that is awesome. That is true ham hijinks. I love it. Do you listen to our ham podcast, Ham Nation?
Haven't, but I
you got to do it.
And,
yeah.
Hey, I need your help. I've got the Google Pixel and the original, the XL 128.
Nice,
and
classic.
I've loved it. It's been a great phone. But when I first had it, I noticed that the audio was bad. It would drop out every now and then it would shut down on me. And not a big problem. I thought, it's probably some of the programs I've got in there. And I just reboot it and go on with business. And then recently, I've been having a battery problem, so I was going to take it in and get the battery replaced. And he said, well, it looks like with the shutting down that it's a motherboard issue, a well-known motherboard issue.
Oh, interesting.
Said, that's what was causing that all this time. And he said, I'll call Pixel, and apparently there's some big class action suit. And I thought, well, I'd get in on it, and then I'm too late for it. So,
oh, man.
Yeah, and you would think that if there was some kind of a recall or something like that people would let you know.
Well, that's the point, and that's why I presume there's a suit. So companies, this is something Apple goes through, Google, a lot of big companies, Samsung. They'll get reports of a problem. Maybe they'll get hundreds of reports of a problem. Mm-hmm. But unless they verify for themselves that it's a problem, they're unlikely to do a recall. Apple is notorious for, problems. For instance, with the butterfly keyboard, probably went on for 2 years before Apple finally said, okay, and issued a bulletin saying if somebody brings in their butterfly keyboard, replace it because this is a known problem. So companies aren't guaranteed that they will announce this, and I don't know if there are any requirements, legal requirements that they say, we got to do a recall. It's different in the car industry where these things could be a safety hazard. It's if there's an exploding battery, as with the Samsung Galaxy Note 7, well, that's different too. That is a safety issue. But a failing motherboard, Google can decide, well, is this a handful of cases, or is this a problem we've got with all the phones, or just a series? And apparently they didn't. You would have gotten some sort of notification, or at least there would have been coverage of that.
My problem is I don't mind paying for the battery in there to replace the battery, but he said that...
Well, there's no point if it's got a bad motherboard and you can't get a replacement. The problem is this thing is pretty old. And by the way, we call it the OG Pixel, the original gangster Pixel, because it was such a good phone. Google said you're going to get one last update this month, and then they are going to stop updating that phone. So here's one more reason to retire the OG Pixel.
Leo, what's a good replacement for that? I'm somewhat on a limited budget. I'm a retired military vet, 75 years old, and like to keep the cost down. I didn't really want to have to buy a new cell phone, but...
right now is a great time to be buying a new cell phone.
Okay.
Because Google has done some severe price cuts on some of its best phones. I would look at a Pixel 3A, so you're getting basically the same phone you had, only much, much better. And I think the last price quote I saw was $229. I don't know if that's out of your range or not.
Whoa, no, $229 for the phone?
Yeah.
Where did you see that? I'm curious.
I'll have to look. I would certainly go to the store.google.com first and see what they're offering. They've been very aggressive. Remember, it's last year's phone, so they want everybody to buy a Google Pixel 4 plus. I imagine they're going to do a 4A soon. The A's are the low-cost versions. Let me just see what...
Sure.
Yeah, Google's charging $3.99, but I know I've seen it for as little as $2.99. It might be a special somewhere. I'll get the chat room working on that.
I appreciate that. The only problem is when you switch phones is that you always have to switch cases, because I've got the OtterBox case, and I love that and I'm not advertising for them, but
oh no, they're the best.
They're the best, and it keeps it. By the way, what I'd suggest to all of your people, and I've suggested this before, is anytime that you go to one of your advertisers, please let them know that you heard about it on Leo, so that they will know where their advertising budget is being spent, and know that it's being effective.
Very kind of you, sir. I appreciate it. Take a look at the 3A. I think that's the best deal out there right now, and I will keep listening. We'll find that price. I know I saw it. Maybe it's Best Buy. Maybe it's with trade-in, something like that. But I know that you can get it's $3.99 list, so $2.29 wouldn't be so surprising. They're offering some pretty good deals out there.
Oh, I appreciate it, and I'm addicted to your program when they have the football game on instead. My palms start getting cold and sweaty, having withdrawal symptoms here.
Well, Dennis, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your service. 7-3. What's your call sign?
I don't have it anymore, but it was K5JAS, and it was I used the phonetics of Johnny Appleseed.
Oh,
and
I love it.
I was also a ventriloquist at the time, and my dummy's name was Johnny Appleseed, so it all tied together.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Well, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you, Dennis. And if you ever get back on the ham radio, call us back and give out your location so people can talk to you. We have a lot of very active hams, as you might imagine.
Before I had a photography website, and contacted me, and it was not about selling or doing photography, but I did organize some free classes to teach people photography, and which I enjoy giving back and helping,
awesome.
Because you do the same thing. You're on the radio helping people all the time, and I kind of like to help them with photography, so I was glad to do it. And
you ever break out the dummy? You ever break out Johnny Appleseed?
No, I don't, because I had to give it up. The dates that I was going out with, I had trouble figuring out which one was the date.
I think dummies, at least going back to Edgar Bergen, dummies have often been the ones that tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
They say the things that their ventriloquist masters can't. So I imagine it would be a little difficult with the ladies.
And I knew a lot of the ventriloquists very well. Jimmy Nelson was a good friend of mine, the one that used to do the. Yeah. Oh, and you were talking about the earlier TVs. I used to stay awake at night and watch the national anthem at night and watch the jets fly over.
Yep.
And then sit there for 30 minutes and watch the Indian pattern.
Yeah, till the white noise came on. Those were the days. Television never signs off. Like the rest of the world, nobody sleeps anymore. Great to talk to you, Dennis.
Family, man.
Bless you. Merry Christmas. Take care, Dennis. Pleasure to talk to you. Oh, December's always a little rough for me because of that fella right there, John Lennon. I was working in San Jose at radio station KLOK when we got word, I think it was December 8th, that John had been murdered, and it was very, very hard to get used to. And here it is, we're 40 years later. It's still difficult. Merry Christmas. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Line 2 is Joey, San Diego, California. Hey, Joey.
How you doing, handsome?
I'm great, beautiful. How you doing?
Love talking to you, Leo.
It's great to talk to you, Joey. What can I do for you?
Leo, I'm torn on something, Leo.
All right.
We discussed this before, and you crushed me on it, but I just can't let it go, Leo.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to crush you.
No. It was merited. I just wasn't seeing the big picture. But internet over power lines. You got all these millions of people in rural places throughout the United States. They got to pay all these high fees for satellite, and you have the solution sitting right there in the power line, and the technologies. There's no more research.
Don't mention that in front of a ham. That's all I can say. The technology is called BPL, broadband power line, and it was proposed literally 20 years ago. In fact, I remember visiting the FCC. I'd say it was 2004. And talking to the chairman of the FCC at the time, Michael Powell, about this, and he was very bullish on it. In fact, he even took me into the BPL testing labs. I asked him this question. Hams are upset because The problem is when you put the internet over power lines, they can transmit. It's at a frequency that can interfere with radio, not only amateur radio, but emergency bands.
Leo.
Yeah.
Leo, hams are like newspapers. We don't need them anymore.
Well, wait a minute. Slow down. First of all, that's fighting words. But second of all, and you know it too, don't you? But second of all, it's not just hams. It's emergency radio services are also. Now, Michael Powell told me at the time, don't worry, Leo. We can notch those frequencies. We can protect them and still use BPL. And so what's not clear, the BPL was killed by the amateur radio enthusiasts and the AARL. They basically launched a very aggressive lobbying campaign, and the FCC
there was probably also a conspiracy between the cable companies and the.
Well, we'll never know that, and of course we do know that Chattanooga, which is in Tennessee, Chattanooga, had a very famous and very successful civic internet, public internet from the city of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that was became public enemy number one to the internet service providers because they don't want cities to provide internet.
No.
And it was being provided by the Chattanooga Power Authority, but I don't think they were using BPL. So municipal internet, I think, is a great idea. In fact, I think it's the solution to some of our biggest internet problems. The number one problem is lack of competition. And when you have, in almost, I think it's 80% of the nation, at best, a duopoly. The phone company and the cable company provide internet to 86%, and that's it, of the nation. You're going to have a situation where you just don't have competitive rates, and more importantly, here we are in the country that invented the internet, you're going to get worse service at a higher price. So I think competition would be very, very good. But of course, you nailed it when you said, and I have no reason to think there was a conspiracy against BPL, but you nailed it when you said that the cable companies, the internet service providers, really don't want any competition, and they will go to Congress to block it. They've gone to 28 states.
They could put money. They could put lots of money into their campaigns too.
That's right.
They have ways of influence.
They got money. If you got money, you pretty much get what you want in this country. And
that's a fact.
And they've gone to, at last count, I think 28 state legislatures, and got the state legislature to say no municipal internet. And of course, the dogma is, well, you don't want cities competing with private industry. That's not how we do it in this free market economy. But
private industry screw everybody over.
Well, it isn't. It isn't. So. Yeah, it's not a free market. That's, I guess, the point. It's not a free market because the FCC gave these companies the rights to a duopoly. So I don't know what the answer is. I would love to see more municipal internet. I honestly, now you've got me thinking. Maybe BPL isn't dangerous. Maybe there were ways to make it work.
There is no reason not to use it.
I have to say the future probably nationwide is wireless in some form or fashion. One of the reasons our government, the federal government, is pushing 5G so hard, and of course all the telecoms are, is because that has the potential of providing a high-speed internet wirelessly. Elon Musk is launching, well, he hopes to launch 42,000 satellites to provide satellite internet. So is Amazon. So I think wireless is in the end going to be the solution. I hope it is. But you're right. We should look again at BPL. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Now can you hear me, Johnny Jet?
Yes. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. When you called the first time, the internet was just starting to cut out. So I ran upstairs, 2 flights, told my wife, everyone in the house, we have a house full of people, stop using the internet.
Oh.
You're using all my bandwidth.
Well, I thank your family for understanding.
Yeah, they got everything going on. So I turned the dryer off.
The dryer?
Supposedly the dryer the washing machine will slow it down. I don't know if that's true or not, but.
Well, I don't know why it would. I guess it could be, there could be frequencies coming off of it or something. That doesn't sound quite possible, but Who knows these days?
I read it somewhere or heard it. I don't remember. But anyway, I turned that off. So my wife's going to go down there and be like, oh, my stuff's not dry.
I love your sweater.
It's actually my pajamas. We have matching pajamas.
Aww.
And I figured I might as well get my money's worth with them.
Who's in town?
All my in-laws.
Is your dad still there, or did he go home?
No, he went home. I feel bad he's not here, but he was here for Thanksgiving. My mother-in-law's here, her sister, brother-in-law. There's a house full of kids right now.
There's nothing like cousins. That's the best.
Yes.
I know your kids are probably too little to care, but as they get older.
No, Jack loves cousins. And I grew up, I think I had 16 cousins.
Having the cousins over, it was always a highlight, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's like Wild Wild West.
We got to rush this one because Johnny Jet's entire family has shut down all internet access. He's turned off the washer and the dryer. You left the refrigerator running, though, Johnny.
I should turn that off.
Because they were impinging on his internet. He's using Skype to reach us today because the family's in town.
That's right.
It's wonderful. Well, thank your family. And by the way, love the ugly Christmas sweater.
Whoa, it's not ugly.
Did I say ugly? I meant the Christmas sweater.
Not ugly.
I want one. I wish, I don't know. I should get one. I'll have to maybe get my mom to make me one.
This is not the ugly sweater I have. This is not the ugly Christmas sweater. This is the pretty one.
I think that's the best part of Christmas is ugly sweaters.
Well, actually, my neighbor asked to borrow one the other day, and I was like, yeah, I have some. So come on over.
You have a collection. Nice.
So I'm always going to parties. But
Johnny joins us every week to help us travel better with technology. He has a podcast, by the way, called Travel Tips?
I was like, I have a podcast? I wish I had a podcast.
Well, I was on Twitter and it said you had a podcast every Friday, but it's really not a podcast, is it? It's a Twitter thing.
No, it's a Twitter chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone must have wrote the wrong thing.
Yeah.
No podcast. My only podcast is being a guest on yours and some others once in a while. So, but one day maybe, but it takes too much time.
Yeah.
But
just be on this show. But why spread yourself too thin?
But speaking of Christmas and the holidays, I thought I'd give you some cool gadgets that I use when I travel.
I'd love to know.
With technology. One is the sonic bomb, which I do not bring on planes.
Don't tell the TSA you've got one in your luggage.
No kidding. So do you know what that is? The sonic bomb?
I'm going to guess it's a sleep thing, like it plays white noise in the background.
Nope.
No,
it's actually, it wakes you up. So I take a lot of early morning flights and I'm always worried about missing the early morning flight. So that's the only time I ever use a sonic bomb. Especially when I'm at my dad's house, because I want to get home and see my kids. But what you do, you just plug it in, you hook it up to your phone and you set the time and, it will shake so loud that you cannot sleep through it. It's actually recommended for people who are hard of hearing and deaf, like my father.
It actually shakes your bed.
It will shake the bed if you put it on the bed. And
I want to get this because Lisa wakes me up with her phone alarm every morning at 6 a.m. I don't have to get up that early, but she wants to get up that early. So she could put this on the bed. It would just go, or does it also make a lot of noise? I guess
it will make. You can choose. The one I have, it just shakes.
Yeah.
So I think it's perfect. And actually, my in-laws who came out here for Christmas, they actually said they were woken up by the limo service bringing their doorbell because they overslept, and they didn't have something like this.
Wow.
So. And, you hear about it all the time. It's actually in Christmas movies like Home Alone, the same kind of thing.
I wish I had this problem. A butterfly flaps, I wake up. I don't have this problem. You're lucky. You're young. You're a good sound sleeper. I love that. That's good.
Well, fortunately, I've never really had to use it because I've always woken up right before.
Right.
I have this really good internal clock.
Yeah.
And
I think everybody does. You just have to, before you go to bed, say, I'm going to wake up early. But
There's also another clock, by the way. I'm not even sure what the name of it. It just made me think of it. That will actually, when you set it off, it will blare and it will just cruise around the room, and you have to actually physically get up out of bed.
That's that's clocky.
Clocky. That's
clocky. It jumps away from you. It's on wheels.
That's hilarious.
And if when the alarm goes off, you can't just reach over and slam it. because it goes over to like the other side of the room. It avoids you. You have to get up and chase it.
Yes. I think that's pretty funny. So, and another gift, by the way, which I think, and this is more of like a website of the week, but it's called First Class Flyer.
Don't know that.
So,
what is that?
Firstclassflyer.com, and you spell flyer FLYER.com. And the guy who started it, he's been around as long as I have, actually 20 something years. And he founded it he's up in the Bay Area. And he used to be a minor league baseball pitcher, and he's a really big dude. He's like 6'5", 300, maybe 270 or something. And he didn't want to sit and coach anymore, and they were on a real tight budget. So he always figured out ways how to fly up front, and I was the same way.
Oh, I like that.
So he actually put it into a subscription
I have a way,
newsletter.
but it involves writing a large check. I don't want to do that.
Well, so this is not cheap. It's about $100 a year to $300, depending on which premium service
is this
you get.
Mr. Upgrade?
Yes. So First Class Flyer, and actually it's really good, but it's in depth. So when you get the newsletter, it comes, depending on which service you get, it comes either once a month or once a week. But they're in-depth articles, but they give you all the tools on how to find these cheap business class flights. And I told you last week that I actually just purchased a around the world trip in a few months from now, and I got it for like a fifth of what they normally cost, even more. So, tools like this is what helped me. Actually, the flight I got wasn't because of this one, but this definitely has helped me many times before. And what's convenient is that they show you how to do it. They give you links. They're usually to Google flights, and it's all spelled out for you.
I gotta try this. I especially like their principles. They say no conniving or groveling. We do not recommend hustling gate agents or dressing up as a way to upgrade.
Yeah, and well, in the old days, I used to, I would always bring three. Actually, I still usually bring 3 bags of chocolates, like Hershey Kisses.
That works.
And one's for the gate agents, one's for the flight attendants, and one's for myself, obviously. And that will almost always ensure that you'll get some good service, but you will not get upgraded. In the old days, it'd get you upgraded. These days, all the airlines have some pretty.
But honestly,
technology.
They're not going to give you a free upgrade. You're going to have to pay for it.
You have to pay for it.
So what could he tell you that could possibly help you get a cheap upgrade?
No. Well, there's sales all the time.
Okay.
He'll also show you which miles to use. But actually, last week, I almost purchased a ticket to Beijing. They had LAX, and actually I found it through his newsletter, Beijing to LAX for $1,200 first class round trip.
Wow.
I mean,
that would be worth $100 a year for that.
For sure.
But you'd have to be wanting to go to Beijing now.
Right, but they have it all over the world. No, it's actually not for this week. It was for January and February.
Okay.
Which is not the most ideal time to go. But
when I retire, I might do this because then I would be a little bit more footloose and fancy free. It takes some planning, for me to just fly to Beijing at the drop of a hat.
I have friends who won't even leave the airport. They'll just fly across the world and turn right back around. They're just doing it for mileage runs to get the miles and points, although it's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah, I thought they basically eliminated that idea of mileage
No, because people now have to spend a certain amount of money,
right,
and they also have to fly a certain amount. Although United and American are actually starting to take away the amount you have to fly. They just care about what you spend.
What's happened, folks, is computers. Yep. And as these companies have gotten more and more sophisticated about pricing, using computation and big data, there are fewer and fewer loopholes. They know what you're up to.
They do, but the good news there are still some loopholes, and it's newsletters like First Class Flyer. Hopefully you'll sign up to my newsletter at johnnyjet.com. And there's a bunch of other bloggers that also talk about these loopholes. And they're all legal. So, and when the airlines hear about them, they usually close them. So that's why you got to act fast.
When I retire, I will subscribe to First Class Flyer. And I will say, see you in Beijing on Friday.
Yeah, it's worth it. So, it really does.
Johnny Jet, you're the best. JohnnyJet.com. He's on the Twitter at Johnny Jet, Instagram, Johnny Jet. I am so jealous. You got a big group in there, and you're going to have such a big, fun Christmas. Are you going to have a big dinner and all that? And
you know what? We sure are.
That's what happens when
my mother-in-law's here.
You got kids, so that means grandkids for them, cousins for the other family members. So now it's like a party. It's like a
Agreed.
party. Yeah.
And actually, I just read a great quote that I think, especially people with young kids, it says, and it's from Andy Rooney, who's from, is from CBS 60 Minutes. Actually, he lived about a mile from where I grew up in Connecticut.
Really?
But one of the most glorious messes in the world is the mess created in the living room on Christmas Day. Don't clean it. Yeah. Don't clean it up too quickly.
Nope. I agree. Leave those wrapping papers and oh man. Such fond memories of Christmas morning as a kid. My favorite Christmas was they gave me a Mercury spacecraft. It was made out of cardboard, but it had like wiring for lights, and you could get in it and be an astronaut. Man, I'll never forget that present. Do you remember like a favorite Christmas gift?
I remember I really wanted this computer. I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And I just remember it being like $500. It was, I can't remember what it was. It was like a PlayStation computer back then. I think it was Sony. I'm not even positive. And I just wanted, my dad's like, it's really expensive. And then I remember going into my parents' room looking for, my mom asked me to get something, and there it was. And then I had to pretend that it was a surprise a few days later. And I was so excited, but I also felt so bad that they actually spent that amount of money. But anyway, I'll remember that one.
If they hadn't, would you have been the computer billionaire that you are today?
That's right. I probably would. I probably wouldn't be on your radio show.
You wouldn't be the Johnny Jet. You'd be jet skiing still.
Yes, I would be jet skiing and maybe have more money, but we'll see.
I don't think there's much money in jet skiing. I don't know about that. Hey, Johnny, have a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas.
Take care. And we're off next week, right?
Yep. Nothing to do next week.
Okay.
Give my love to nothing.
Okay.
Give my love to Natalie and
Lisa.
Give hugs to the boys and the girl. And you're just gonna have a great time. It's so fun. You. This is little one's first Christmas, right?
Olivia's first and Jack's third, and Jack is really now.
He knows what's going on.
Oh yeah, he totally does. It's the best. It really is the best.
So that sounds wonderful. Have a great time.
Thank you.
Enjoy it. All right.
Thank you.
See you, Johnny.
Bye-bye.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah. 8888. Ask Leo. Line 3. That's Judy in Torrance. Hello, Judy.
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for hanging on.
I listen to you every weekend. And
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. So what we did is we bought what you suggested, the Epson Inkjet printer.
The EcoTank printer.
That's right. I'm sorry. EcoTank E147EI.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
I don't need the numbers.
I'm sorry. Anyway, so my friend says, well, he's a techie, and he says, well, why would you get an inkjet? Because the print fades, and it could smear when you highlight it, and it can smear otherwise.
No. Does it?
That's not true anymore, is it?
No. Does it?
Okay.
You have that printer, unless you haven't opened the box.
I didn't open the box.
Oh, you don't know yet.
I wanted to you first. But I don't think that. Okay.
Well, some people, and I actually don't disagree. Some people have a bias in favor of laser printers. And so it kind of depends on how you're going to use it. A laser printer doesn't have, it's not going to smear for sure. It's toner. It's just like your Xerox machine. It's toner fused onto the page. It's generally cheaper per page, although I think with the EcoTank, they've come very close to the price of a laser printer. The one advantage I'd say for a laser printer is if you don't print very often, like once or twice a month, a laser jet's a little bit less maintenance involved because it doesn't have print heads. But I think with the good inks nowadays, I don't see fading ever. I'm looking at inkjet printing right now. I don't see fading ever. And I don't think smearing is a problem unless you have something pretty wet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're all right. The advantage of it is that the color is better with inkjet, much better. Laser color is not only more expensive, is not very good. They call it business color, which means it's fine for, I guess, a business document, but not for anything else. If you've got kids, you definitely want an inkjet. They're going to want all the capabilities of an inkjet. I haven't used a highlighter. So Chickenhead21 says he has an EcoTank and it does smear when he highlights it. Is that Chickenhead right away after you print, or even after a day or two after it's fully dried? I don't know if I'd trust somebody named Chickenhead. It might also be dependent on how the highlighter's working. If the highlighter has, solvents in it that dissolve that ink. I think Epson's ink especially is very good, and I should mention it's a sponsor. So, and that's what I use as an EcoTank. So I haven't noticed that problem. I don't use highlighters a lot though. Are you going to use highlighters a lot?
Yeah, we do sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do. Because I use it for record keeping sometimes.
Right.
Because is there any special paper that works better?
I just use copier paper. I tend to like heavier bonds. So if you want, but I usually just go on Amazon or go to the office supply store and buy standard copier paper. You certainly don't have to use any special paper.
Okay. Now, one last question.
Yes.
We have a 5-year-old Canon, and it's been fine, and we haven't bought the Canon cartridges to fill it because it costs more than
the printer. I know. This is the whole point of the EcoTank, is that Epson, I think, was doing this too, but certainly a lot of other companies, they give you a $50 printer because they know that you were going to pay $100 when you needed new cartridges, and they just said, it's like a razor business. We'll make it up in the supplies.
This is a color image class MS8580CDW, and it works well. And we've been using the hijack cartridges that we buy from the office supply, and those colors came out fine. But now the black is kind of purple, and it's a new cartridge.
Is it the Canon cartridge, or is it this third-party cartridge?
Third party.
Yeah. So that's a problem with these third-party cartridges, and it may be one of the reasons your friend says, "Oh, the ink smears." You really want to. It's unfortunate. You want to use the company's inks, and the nice thing about the EcoTank, and they actually won't let me say this in the copy for some reason, but I'm not doing an ad now. I'm talking to you. Is that the ink costs are way lower than buying them in a cartridge. So the reason people buy third-party cartridges is to save money, right? Or refilled cartridges. Yeah. But often the ink is cheaper, is not as good. It's the ink Canon sells is always going to be better than a third-party ink. And the ink Epson sells is considered, I think, widely considered in the business to be the best ink you can get. And since you're just filling the tank, it literally, you're not going to fill it for another 2 years. So the costs go way down. And I think there's no incentive to buy refilled cartridges. You don't have to worry about the landfill, because those cartridges, you buy a new one every couple of weeks. It's all going in the landfill. And the third-party cartridges, there's no incentive to buy those either. Or I've seen people buy it baffles me, but they'll buy syringes and they'll refill the cartridges. And my
goodness,
I just can't recommend that. This is why the EcoTank is a big deal. I think Epson, when they first thought of it, said, "Well, boy, we're going to have to charge more up front because we're going to give you 2 years of ink." And we don't know if people will understand that they're saving all this money. And they tried it in Brazil first, and they flew off the shelves. People couldn't get enough of them, and they realized, no, people are smart. They get it. The ink is in the box, and you're not going to buy ink for 2 years. You're going to save more than $1,000 on ink cartridges over those 2 years. So, I think that's.
And it's always all the colors. All the colors are in.
Well, you get no. There's 4 tanks, and you get 4 bottles.
Gotcha.
And you'll buy a set, as you do, just like with the cartridges. But it's easy to fill, and they last a long, long time. If you look at how much ink is in an ink cartridge, it's a droplet. It's a tiny little amount.
Wow.
Because they have a big sponge in there. The whole cartridge is not ink. It's a sponge that is saturated with ink. Yeah. Always buy first-party ink in general. You'll get better results. I bet you that's what your nerdy friend is doing.
Yes. He doesn't buy He doesn't have a Canon. He has the brother with. It has a separate drum that you can replace.
Yeah, that's a laser printer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a different technology entirely. It's not using wet ink at all. It's using toner, just like it's exactly how a Xerox machine works.
You made me feel so much better.
I think you'll like it. Now, I can't promise it won't smear. Don't use, so Chickenhead says he uses Sharpie highlighters. Those probably have a stronger solvent. I use 3M highlighters. Use highlighter. You'll know some highlighters will work better, I think.
Okay, I'll test it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Marshy X says,
everybody there?
Merry Christmas to you, too. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Marshy X in her chat room says the Miffy, Miffy highlighters are wax-based and work fine with any inkjet.
Oh, okay.
So just
That's
use
great.
less,
Thank you.
less,
Miffy, Miffy.
Yeah, less aggressive highlighters.
Wow.
Hey, it's great to talk to you. Are you going to have a nice family Christmas?
My family is real small, but Michael's family's huge. So yeah.
Well, I hope they're getting together with you. Have a great time, Judy.
Yeah. You too. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Take care and happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah too. Happy solstice. Is it today? Yeah. I should say happy winter solstice. More and more people I'm seeing celebrate solstice instead of Christmas. It's kind of the same thing at the same time anyway. I am going to show you my browser. We were talking in the forums about this, the Brave browser. I'm a fan of Brave, our sponsor on the podcast today. It's the browser reimagined. It's the next generation web browser. And somebody was saying in the forums, oh, it's from Google. It's not from Google. So I think I probably should explain this. So Google Chrome is based on an open source project called Chromium. There's some confusion here because what Brave uses is this open source, and they use it for the rendering engine. And there's a good reason to do that. First of all, there is no googly bits in it. It's just how a page is rendered. None of the location tracking or any of the stuff that Google does. It's just how the page is drawn. And there's a good reason why Brave uses it. It's the most widely supported browsing engine. So when you use Brave, you get all the benefits of using Chrome. You get every site works, everything looks as you expect it, but you get a whole lot more. Well, you get a whole lot less, too. You don't get the googly bits. You don't get the privacy invading, location tracking, cookies, and all of that. Brave is a next-generation web browser built by a team that's focused on two things, privacy and performance, and they go hand in hand. Brave's easy to use. It's easy to set up. It's quick. One click. All your bookmarks are imported, so you can quickly switch browsers, make your default browser Brave. You'll be saving battery life. Yes, on mobile, you'll reduce your data costs as well. Because if you block all those extra JavaScripts and all the extra tracking and all the extra ads, ad blocking's built into Brave, suddenly that website that was hundreds of megabytes is less than a megabyte. And loads like that, you save bandwidth too, you save battery life, and your privacy protected. I always recommend, the nice thing about Brave is you can download it and try it for free. You don't have to get rid of your old browser, so you can get a sense of what Brave can do for you very easily. And I always recommend going to the Brave settings. This is 1.0 just came out of Brave, and looking at what Brave does, because you'll get a very good idea of how easy it is to use. One click, it will import all the settings from whatever browser you're using, or just from an HTML file if you want to export from an oddball browser. So it means it is up. You can make it your default browser on any platform except iOS, but you can still make it. I put it on my desktop, on my home screen on iOS, so I use it more often. There's a lot of great stuff, including themes. Because it's Chromium, you can use themes from the Google Theme Store or the Brave Store, and it supports, because it's Chromium, all the Google plugins. Here's an interesting thing. You won't install as many. You don't need ad blockers. You don't need tracking protection. It's all built in. And Brave does something else that I really like. You're blocking ads, and that means you're not going to pay for content you're consuming on the web. When you go to The Verge or iMore, or all those sites with ads, you're not seeing those ads. But you can still reward publishers with their fair share of web revenue using something Brave calls basic attention tokens, or BAT tokens. And this is great. You can buy BAT tokens with cash, or you can earn BAT tokens easily enough just by watching privacy-respecting ads. And once you get some BAT tokens, they'll be rewarding the sites you visit as you wish, as you ask. And that's fantastic. You can have Brave rewards automatically given to sites like iMore, and there's over 300,000 sites that are signed up for Brave rewards. So it's a great way to surf without ads, but feeling good about what you're seeing. I always use the advanced view on Shields because I like to know what's doing. It also blocks cross-site trackers. And again, you can switch everything off. Anything on or off you want. I always like HTTPS everywhere. There's one more extension I don't have to use. And if you use NoScript, you can even block scripts. I like cross-site cookies. I don't allow Facebook embed. I don't allow Twitter embeds. I don't allow LinkedIn embeds. All of those are privacy invading. You can choose your browsing engine. It can be Google, but I use Start Page again, so I'm completely disconnected from Google. I can go on and on. This is a great browser. And because of all this, it's faster and it's privacy respected. Unmatched speed, online privacy, a better user experience, and it's free. I don't know why anybody wouldn't at least download it and try it at brave.com/twit. I've made it my default browser on every platform because I love Brave. All the speed and benefits of Chrome, actually Speed Plus, without any of the downsides. Mac, Windows, Linux, Android, iOS. Brave is an amazing product. Yesterday it was all about big tech. Today it's about us. Brave.com/twit. I just think it's a brilliant way to get the benefits of Chrome without any of the googly bits. Brave.com/twit. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We've got smartphones. We've got smart watches. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you want to talk about tech, that's what I'm here for. I did a little searching. Remember we had a caller, Dennis, who was ready to get a new phone. He had the OG, the original gangster Pixel phone from Google, which is now how many years old? 5 years old, I would guess, something like that. And Google just recently announced they're not updating it. He's had problems of batteries dying. He says his motherboard's also flaky. And by the way, that could be a manufacturing defect, but with a phone, it's also very likely because phones get thrown around and put in pockets and bent. Just wear and tear. That could easily damage the logic board. So he says it's time for a new phone, but I don't have a lot of money. And I said, I think the best choice, by the way, I'm not alone in this. We have a show called All About Android hosted by my colleague Jason Howell, and he picked it as the best phone of the year, the Pixel 3a. This was the low-cost version of Google's flagship phone from last year, the Pixel 3. And Amazon was selling it for Black Friday at $229. I did find that price. The list from Google for the 64-gigabyte version, which is certainly for most people plenty of storage, is $299. Still very affordable. But yeah, it was $70 less at Amazon during Black Friday. I can't see that price anymore unless you buy a refurbished version. If you want a brand new one, I think Amazon still has them for something like $260. But still, given that the high-end flagship phones like the Pixel 4 are pushing $800 to $1,000, that's a pretty good deal. It's less than half. And I think a great phone with many of the best features of the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 3 at a much lower price, the 3A. I think part of the reason you're seeing some deep discounts is that it's likely Google will announce a 4A, a low-priced version of its current flagship 4 phone in the next few months. So a 4A is probably coming, so Google's probably clearing out the 3As. So you should be able to get some pretty good deals. I think that's probably the best Android phone to get, partly because it's a Google phone, and so Google kind of keeps it up to date faster than Samsung or OnePlus. I would look at the OnePlus if you have a little more money, the OnePlus 7 Pro or the OnePlus 7T. Those are excellent Android phones as well, but I think they're a little more pricey. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Mark in Alhambra, California. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I just have a problem, and I'm hoping that you might be the one person that can help me.
I hope so.
Okay, I'll try to give you a quick wrap of how I got my situation and what the situation is, and then we'll see if there's something you can help me with.
All right.
Always wanted to be a tech, one of your geeks. I've just never graduated to that point.
Geek used to be an insult. I like it that it's now a honorarium. It's
so I think it's a very positive sign of knowledge.
I define a geek as somebody who's just passionate about a topic, and in my case, it's tech. And there are a lot of tech geeks out there. It sounds like you're pretty interested. That might even be passionate about it. So you might be a geek. I hate to tell you.
Well, I had an Acer little notebook after my home computer died.
There you go.
Which was running Windows, which was just fine, but then it started acting up. So I switched over to a Chrome tablet and a Chromebook. But that now I'm going off on my main subject here. So my problem is, originally listening to you, I learned about DSL Extreme.
Oh, years ago they were a sponsor. They haven't been a sponsor for 5 or 6 years now.
Right, and it was like, hey, if Leo says this is a good idea, good enough for me. So I got DSL Extreme. I never was able to get into their email account things because for some reason I could just never connect to them. But I always maintained, and I would call them if there was any kind of a question and stuff. Apparently, now, what I'd always done, they had a credit card. They would deduct it from the bill of the credit card, and everything was fine.
DSL Extreme, I should explain, is an internet service provider. They ride on phone lines provided by your telephone company, so they're a DSL provider.
Correct. It was DSL, and since I'm very simple about what I can do with things, I was in no mood to upgrade because it really wasn't necessary with my knowledge base.
Yeah, they were great in the early days. They were very inexpensive. They did. I'm going to be brutally honest here. They got sold, and I was starting to get a lot of complaints about them. And we decided that it'd be better not to do ads for them anymore. And that was some years ago. I don't know what their current state is, but that's one of the reasons you don't hear ads for them anymore on the show.
Okay, so they had my home phone with a number of over 40 years. I'm 65 years plus.
So you ported your number over to DSL? Extreme?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My home phone number.
Okay, so you were using their DSL lines for your home phone.
Right, because it all came over the landline, which was just fine for me.
Yep.
With my limited ability to use more than that, I didn't really need it. So they had my credit card. Apparently, when the credit card company gave me a new card, same number, but apparently the code on the back was changed or something. I'm not
that happens, sure. And then you need to update your information with the company, or they're going to say we can't charge you. Is that what happened?
Well, yes, sir, because I didn't know that there was a reason to update because I got a fresh card because the card numbers were the same.
Right.
In the past, one time they changed the card numbers because of some security thing that they had. Basically, I figured they got breached. So I contacted them by phone. When everything quit working, I thought, well, maybe something happened. The credit card company didn't.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Company, and they had that's where I always got the 800 number off my credit card bill.
So all of a sudden you've lost your phone service.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Not just your internet service, but by the way, good reason not to bundle internet with phone. Continue on.
I'm learning. I have learned this the hard way. So I contacted them immediately once I verified that the credit card company had not stopped any payment to them or anything else, and the phone number that they give on my last billing, it was a disconnected number.
Right.
So I couldn't contact them.
Oh, man. And now you understand why we don't do ads for them anymore. And I got to say, it's been 5 or 6 years. It's been a long time. I was really happy. In fact, I knew the guys well, George and the company, and they were great. But things seem to start going downhill with their customer support. And I'm very sorry this happened to you. I only got a minute left, so cut to the chase. What's the upshot here?
So the upshot is that when they shut it off, they gave it to Sonic because apparently DSL is a subsidy of Sonic.
Well, Sonic's another provider. It sounds like DSL Extreme might have gone out of business. That's very good news. Sonic is a great company.
Okay, well, DSL Extreme would not turn it back on because...
Well, contact Sonic.
Okay, I did contact Sonic.
Yeah.
Sonic says that they have my number.
Awesome.
But they won't give it to me until I have something established that they can transfer that number to. But they'll only do that if I sign up for Sonic Internet, and I would have to get VOIP phone. And I really didn't want that.
I'm going to fix this for you, Mark. Send me an email, leo@leoville.com. I'm good friends with the owner of Sonic. They're the best ISP in the nation. We will get this fixed for you.
I was hoping that you might be.
I will get your phone number back for you, I promise. But send me an email, Mark, leo@leoville.com, okay?
Okay, wait a minute. I got to write that down, at Leoville.
Yeah. Because we can fix this one. I happen to have. There's very few companies I can really help you with, but this one I can help you with. That's your phone number. And DSL. I didn't realize that Sonic had taken over DSL's mailing list or whatever. But anyway, that's good news.
They didn't take it over, but DSL gave them the number.
Okay, well that's good news, and we'll see what we can do to help you. I got to run, but send me that email. We'll fix it. That one I can fix. And we use Sonic here. Sonic is one of the best. They're very small, and I hate to talk so highly of them because I know most of you can't get them, but they offer $40 a month gigabit fiber into your home. $40 a month for gigabit fiber. They're a great company. They support net neutrality. They have no bandwidth caps. I wish all internet service providers were like them. We'll figure out a way to get that number back to you. I promise you. Yeah. This is, I'll be honest, I don't even fault DSL Extreme. It's a brutal business. And because these third-party DSL companies are at the mercy of the big phone companies who hate them and only give them access because the FCC makes them do it, they drag their heels, these big phone companies. They don't help a DSL at all. And it was a real uphill battle for them. I actually had a lot of sympathy for what DSL Extreme was going through, and every third-party DSL provider. I think that's where Sonic started trenching and putting in fiber, because no one wants to work with the phone company. No one. Not even us. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Happy holidays to you all. Happy solstice tonight at 11 p.m. The winter solstice. I guess that means this is going to be the longest night of the year. That's why we light all those lights up. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number, Ding, on the line from San Rafael, just down the road a piece. Hi, Ding.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Hey, so this question is about virus getting hacked. So on Thursday, I got an email notification from Bank of America saying that I added this blah blah at gmail.com to Zelle, the online.
Yeah. Did you do that with your bank?
No, it wasn't me.
It wasn't you. That's not good.
So
Zelle is, so you've probably heard of Venmo and Facebook Pay and Apple Pay. These are all ways that you can text message in effect or message somebody money. And the kids love Cash.me and Venmo because they go out to dinner and then they split the bill and they Venmo money over to the other person. It's a very quick and easy way to send cash. The banks looked at this and said, oh, man, we're going to lose all our business. So the banks got together and created Zelle, Z-E-L-L-E, which is their version of online payments. I think it's dumb and dopey, but anyway, it exists. And probably, I hope, so this is interesting. So somebody added your email address to Zelle. With your email, there's nothing they can do. What they need is your bank account information.
I believe they were able to get into my Bank of America account.
Why do you think that?
From the back door.
But why do you think that? What's your evidence? Have you seen payments go out?
No, but many years ago, I backed up my FTP. I scanned, after that, I scanned my computer. I have two desktops. Right now, they're all reformatted. So I saw there's a virus called backdoor PHP / blah blah. And I googled it, and it's a remote access, one of the RAT, remote access
Trojan.
Yeah. So I guess someone was doing stuff in the background.
Well, the first thing to do if you suspect this, first of all, a PHP backdoor is not going to be very effective because you're not running, unless you're running a web server on your computer, are you?
No, I'm not.
No, okay. So backdoor PHP is used to backdoor web servers, not home computers. It might be on your system, but it wouldn't have any effect on it, probably because you're not running a web server. So I wouldn't assume that you've been hacked. Somebody put something on your system. It may well be that going to in fact, almost certainly going to a website that has PHP backdoor on it. The first thing that website's going to do is launch an exploit kit. This is kind of how the hackers like to work. They go and they buy a kit of exploits. They're very cheap. You can buy them online. Then they find a website they can get into using backdoor PHP, believe it or not. And that's an FTP system that allows you to upload arbitrary files to a website. They'll upload this attack kit, and then anybody who visits the website, the attack kit will attempt to hack. But of course, it only can do that if you've got exploits, if you've got flaws on your system. And if you keep your system well patched, almost always you're immune to these attacks. They try, it doesn't mean they can get in. Sounds like maybe something got in and put backdoor PHP on your system, but you're not a web server, so who cares? Nevertheless, it's prudent if you're seeing strange files, especially strange hacking files in your system, to say, that could be bad. So you've already wiped your drives and stuff. The next step is to call your bank.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay.
Bank America, Chase.
And what they're going to say is you have to change your account numbers.
I did.
That's a big pain because now any auto pays, anything you've been doing with people, you got to reset all of that stuff. But
I know, yeah.
You did it already. So you did the right thing. You're protected as long as somebody doesn't get back into your system and learn these new bank account numbers.
So, any antivirus software that you recommend? I listened to your show.
No, I don't.
Weeks ago.
I don't. And because for one thing, no desktop antivirus is even looking for backdoor.php. The other problem with there's so many problems with antiviruses. Using Windows?
Yeah.
You got a great antivirus. If you've got Windows 10 on your system, Microsoft builds in an antivirus now that's as good as anything out there. There is literally no reason to put a third party on there. It's not going to do a better job. It's only going to potentially open more holes on your system, slow it down, and cause compatibility problems. You have an antivirus. The only thing to do is keep your system up to date so that when you go to sites that have been hacked, you don't get the bug. And you did the right thing. You changed the bank accounts. You're safe. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I would also go to those banks and say, I want two-step authentication. I presume you've done that, right?
Yeah.
Because even if they have your information, if they don't have two-step, there's nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So you've got two-factor turned on. You're going to keep your system up to date. You're going to not reuse passwords. Use a password manager so that you can have different passwords on every site and make them long and very obscure. In fact, a good password manager will automatically generate very good passwords for you and keep track of them. And I think you're fine. That's all anybody needs to do. Put Norton on there. You're not making yourself more secure. You're making yourself less secure.
Okay.
Because Norton now has to be kept patched. And both Norton and McAfee have in the past been avenues for attack because they had flaws. So they actually opened up doors in your system. And the problem with antivirus is they run at a very low level. They run at the system level. So all of a sudden, hackers have access to system level stuff through Norton or through McAfee. It's a very bad idea. And because it didn't give you more security. And truthfully, no antivirus is 100% protective. They're only about 50% protective. They're particularly bad against brand new viruses, and that's where, of course, most of the attacks come from. So your best bet is to keep your system patched. Be suspicious of links and emails, and if there's a pop-up on your screen that says log in to your bank, don't do it unless you're really sure it came from your bank, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. It sounds like you did the right thing. And, whether you had to or not, it's unknown, but it's good. It's always good to err on the side of caution, and so you did. You went and changed all your accounts. Now, having your email address is, everybody's got your email address. You know that. You get a lot of spam?
So many, even phone calls.
Yeah. And phone call, because they have your address. So setting up an account with Zelle and your email address is meaningless. Unless they have your bank account number, and I'm sure they don't. Keep an eye on your bank account. Make sure that you're not seeing strange transactions through Zelle. But I think
I rarely use Zelle, and this guy tried to transfer $3,000.
He did.
And
what happened?
He tried, and it was pending. And Bank of America called me.
Good.
Called them, so they detected something, and it was.
Was this with your new account?
The old account.
So somebody did get your account. You're right. So you probably were hacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I checked the activities on
very smart
America's online banking history.
Yeah.
And right before that email saying that this person blah 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 at Gmail added to your Zelle, 2 minutes before that there was a logging from my browser.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were hacked. You did have a rat on your system. Wow. I'm sorry. That sucks.
And I reformatted 2 hard drives. I mean, 2 computers.
Oh, man. I'm sorry you had to do that. But you know what? You were very smart. And I think you're protected now.
I hope so.
Yeah. An antivirus is if you want. But you already have one. That's the beauty of Windows 10. I don't think you're going to get anything better by putting a third party on there.
Kaspersky, the Russian one?
It's good. It's good, but it's Russian. So, I don't know. There's some evidence that Kaspersky was how the NSA exploits were exfiltrated. An NSA contractor brought the exploits database home. Kaspersky flagged it as a virus and sent it all to Russia, and the FSU got it. So, I don't use Kaspersky.
Mm-hmm.
There's no virus better than Defender. That's the truth of it. And so you've already got the best antivirus out there. Hey, I'm sorry it happened to you, Ding, but thank you for sharing it with us so people can be aware. It's good. Hey, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It was a bad dream for our last caller, Ding, in San Rafael. I talked a little more with him off the air, and he indeed was hacked because his bank called and said, we have a suspicious transaction using that Zelle e-payment system. Good on them for calling. And Ding did the right thing. He then formatted all his computers, created new bank accounts, new credit cards accounts. He had apparently been hacked. I mean, that's actually the case. He looked at his logs and the bank log, and his own browser had logged into the bank minutes before the hack happened, before the transfer happened. And since it wasn't him, he knows somebody was on his system. So good diagnostics, Ding. Ding wanted to know how to protect himself. And I always get down to the same basic advice. If you're using Windows, you have an antivirus on there. The most important thing so that's all you need as far as an antivirus goes. But the most important thing to remember is that antivirus is by itself not enough. Having 2 is not twice as good and can cause all sorts of havoc. So I wouldn't add another antivirus, but I would do things like make sure everything's up to date. Your browsers, your operating system, any applications you use to go online, keep them up to date. And nowadays, because that's so important, all browsers, all operating systems, most software now automatically updates. That's good. You want software that updates automatically. You don't want to have to check. It should just do it automatically. And your browser does that. Your operating system will do that. And make sure you apply those updates. And if for some reason they don't apply, and sometimes with operating systems they don't, you need to find out why, and you need to get it working. You got to be a little cynical, a little cautious, a little careful of emails that seem to come from somebody you know I often see the advice in newspapers and so forth, especially this time of year. Don't trust emails from strangers. No, it's not strangers. It's from somebody you know. Except it's not really. It's easy to spoof email. And the most dangerous emails, the ones that infected the city of New Orleans last week, brought the whole city to its knees. City Hall had to shut down. That impacted 30 cities in Texas, a bunch of school districts, a bunch of cities in Florida, millions of people all over the world last year was ransomware. And that comes usually when it comes to a business or a city hall or a school through what we call spear phishing attacks. Emails from your boss asking you to open this Excel right away and update it or download this file. People you know, except they're not. They're spoofed. And that's not a spreadsheet or a PDF or a program that you need. It is malware. And all it takes is one unsuspecting employee to say, oh man, the boss just sent me this spreadsheet. I got to update it, open it up. It's not a spreadsheet. Something weird happened. And then suddenly, minutes later, as happened in New Orleans, the public address system comes alive and says, turn off your computers, unplug them, and step away. That's what they did in New Orleans. The whole city, the whole city hall, the public address system came on. They said, turn off your computers, 11 a.m. Turn off your computers now. Unplug them. Because probably only took one person to open that email. So be very careful. Email, I've said for more than 10 years, don't send email attachments, don't use email attachments, don't open email attachments. Those are the payloads. And you can't say, well, it comes from the boss, it must be. No, that's the worst kind. Be careful of links you click in text messages, on Facebook. There's only two ways a bad guy can get on your system. One is through a flaw in the operating system or the software you're using to get online. And that's why you got to update. The other way is by tricking you to running a program. And they do that with emails, messages, usually scary messages. There's text messages going around right now that say, this is Apple Computer. We're worried about your iCloud account. We think it's been compromised. Click here to re-enter your credentials. I bet you people get bit by that all the time. You click the link, it pops up a window, looks exactly like the Apple window. You enter your iCloud credentials. You just gave a bad guy your password and login. The other thing I told Ding, really important, so he wiped his drives good, A+. You don't want to have to do this. This is why you got to be careful. He changed all his accounts, A+. The other thing to do, and he did this, and I'm proud of him, turn on two-factor authentication wherever you can. So if this, let's say you accidentally click this text message and you open your iCloud, so-called iCloud account, and you log in. Yeah, you just gave your password and login to the bad guy, but what you didn't give him is the two-factor, the second factor, that 6-digit code your iPhone generates. And without that, he can't get in. So turn that on. Turn it on every account you can, especially bank accounts, your email accounts. Very important. Facebook. Turn that on everywhere. If you don't want a bad guy to get into that account, turn on two-factor. I know it's a little bit of a pain. It's not much. It's a little bit more of a pain, but it makes such a big difference. Because even if they somehow phish your credentials, that second factor, that little 6-digit text string, that changes every 30 seconds. So it's not good anymore. So, that it's useless to anybody. That's so important. And Ding did that. He turned on two-factor, so that's important. I'm seeing all sorts, phone calls from the IRS. Spoof text messages is a really big one these days. Do not click links in text messages. Especially, where there's a couple of giveaways in these phony emails and these scams. Often there's grammatical errors. Look, Apple does not send out emails or text messages with grammatical errors. They don't. But a hacker who might not have English as a first language, they probably will. Even a misplaced comma or apostrophe. That is a big red flag. The other thing to look for is scary terminology. We notice there's been significant foreign logins to your account, and we're worried. Click this link. Things that are designed to get you to go, oh my God, and act without thinking. That's the key. That's what the hacker wants you to do. They want you to leap into action, act without thinking. And if they can get you to do that, you might do something dumb. Be very careful. Look at those links. They're never say apple.com, right? They're obscured. They look kind of like Apple, but maybe it's app1e.com. They're always malformed because it isn't Apple. So look at those links carefully. And just don't click strange links from strangers. That's just a bad idea. I hope you, this was the worst thing that could happen to you, and I feel terrible. But Ding did the right thing, and he leapt into action and did the right thing. He's coming up, the geez a whiz. He's a coming up. You know what else is coming up? I'll tell you what's coming up. My DigitalOcean. I love the DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is trusted by over 1 million developers because they make it easy to launch in the cloud and scale as you grow. So you launch, as I always do, launch cheap. Let's start at Droplet, because the other thing that's so cool, normally you're going to get a server provision. It'll take days. You have to wait, but not with DO. Man, DO, it's so easy. Let's say I want to do a Docker instance, and I'm going to go cheap. I'm going to get a standard plan, although you'll see you could do CPU optimized, memory optimized. You can buy additional storage. You can get lots of CPUs. And by the way, you can go cheap to start. You can always upgrade, which is nice. You can add storage. Look at all the servers in New York, San Francisco, Amsterdam, Singapore, London, Frankfurt, Toronto, Bangalore. Alan's visiting us from Singapore, so I'm going to choose the Singapore server. I can choose a variety of nice features. I always log in with my SSH key for security. Here's Leo. I'm going to call this Leo's Docker. This is how easy it is to set up a server. And I always enable backups. It's inexpensive, $1 a month per droplet. Now watch. We are provisioning a brand new server with a public IP address running Docker in less than a minute. If you want to know how to do something online, there are 2,000 open source tutorials that will help you stay up to date on the latest software, languages, and frameworks. I use this for everything. If you've got a brilliant startup idea, put your minimum viable product on DigitalOcean, and then as it grows, DO grows with you. DigitalOcean offers simple, predictable pricing. You'll always know what you pay per month with a flat, industry-leading price structure. And what do you get? You get it all. 24/7, 365 a day, world-class support, monitoring, and alerts. 4 nines uptime SLA. You get team accounts, full DNS management, and of course those 12 global data centers. DigitalOcean is on a mission to simplify cloud computing so developers and their teams can spend more time building software that changes the world. Go to do.co/twit today. You'll get a $50 credit. do.co/twit, free $50 credit. There's my Docker instance, public IP address. I can log in right now. I got root. do.co/twit, free $50 credit. DigitalOcean, designed for developers, built for businesses. There's my Ubuntu starting up. This is amazing. It's amazing. There we go. There's my Ubuntu Docker instance, public. Now I just put a Docker container on there. I can do anything I want, but they've got one-click startups for every possible solution. do.co/twit. Woo! PHP, that's right. Hey, it's Dizwiz, Gizbiz, Fizz, Diz, Giz, disco time. It's a holiday Christmas. You set my lips on fire, Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer. And our Gizmo Wizard, or GizWiz for short. Hello, GizWiz.
How are you, pal? Your lips on fire?
My lips are burning. It must be time for the GizWiz Gadget. This is going to be of the year. This is our last one for the year,
Oh, well, you know what? This is funny. Actually, it turned into be 2 gadgets because, I was doing something with one. So a year ago, as a joke, we did TechNeck. Remember that? It's a prank box.
Yeah, except I own a TechNeck, but that's another story for another day.
Oh, okay. Well, the funny thing is maybe this is what you own. So we did that, and it's a way to wear the phone around your neck, except it actually goes around your neck. And then I'm going through Amazon looking for weird stuff, and I find the Odoro Lounger, which is basically a version of that, just goes around your neck, but it doesn't really choke you. So I bought one of those.
I have that. That's exactly
You have
it.
You know what? Do you use it? Because I'm thinking.
Can't find it. I'm searching through my stuff.
Oh, okay. It looks dorky, but on an airplane, when you can't have, they say
your tray table, somebody leans back, you're going to squish it. Yeah.
That I'm probably going to take this to CES and use it.
Oh, you'll fit in on the Nerd Express. They'll all be wearing them.
yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. I don't have to worry about going up.
No. They'll go, oh,
everybody
you're going to CES. All right.
Everybody else will. I'm looking for one that lights up and has LED lights, but I haven't found that yet.
Dick will buy anything that lights up, we found. Like that Christmas tree behind you.
Exactly. So the funny thing was, I went looking on Amazon for the prank box for the Tech Neck.
So the idea was the box, you wrap a regular gift in that, and your recipient takes off the wrapping paper and goes, oh, you got me a Tech Neck.
Wow, this is great. Now, it's expensive. I mean, the empty boxes are $8.
Yeah.
But, Leo, what I found online was that Tech Neck is not available. But what is available is hay in a needle stack, the new family game.
What? Hay in a needle stack?
Hey, yeah. Go back to my website and you'll see.
Oh my God, this is a terrible.
Okay,
so you got a stack of needles,
and you get a 2-inch piece of hay. Okay.
2-inch hay included.
Yeah, hay included. Right. And what's funny is on the box, everybody playing is bandaged. Their fingers are bandaged.
Oh my
It's a
God.
very, very funny idea. And like the other one, it's $7.99 for an empty box. But then you put, as you said, you put your gift in it. But it is such a funny idea that
it's just marvelous.
Isn't that a great idea?
Get ready, get set, dig. Take a stab at America's favorite family game. Plunge into the needle pile and see who can hit the hay first. Wackos, hay in the needle stack takes minutes to learn, but a lifetime to master. What a great idea. That is hysterical, 2-inch hay.
Very funny. You know, I love on the box, it has a little pull-out quote there. 2 inches of hay included.
Included, yes. These are great. So I'm glad this category exists, but weren't there more than just the Tech Neck? Weren't there a bunch of these?
Oh, my favorite was Bathe and Brew, the electric coffee pot for your shower.
Oh, I love it. How about this one? This is a good one. This is Spit and Slide. Or, yeah, Spit and Slide. Race to the drool pool.
Oh, my God.
Or how about this one? Henri Remoulad's cheese printer. To create beautiful meals for your family, just say cheese. And I guess it prints your family on melting cheese.
On American cheese. Oh, that's very funny. That is, yeah.
This is straight out of Mad Magazine.
It really is.
Oh, this is clever. I want to buy this. Henri Remoulad's Turn and Churn travel ice cream maker. It goes on the wheel of your car.
Or a wheelchair. Right.
Or a wheelchair.
Right.
And then it has a detachable bowl. On the go, use handy side door while still attached. Car wash approved. Wheel fresh ice cream.
Yeah, they're really great. They're really. I often
clever.
thought I should write them a note and say, "Oh, can I come aboard and write some of these?"
I bet you could write some great ones.
Yeah.
You should send them a spec sheet.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
But it's got to be a profitable business because they're selling essentially cardboard boxes for $9.
For $8, yeah. $7.99 for a cardboard box. I mean, there's a little bit. I mean, they do great graphics, and they don't do just one graphic. The whole box.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of setups with models, and they build a prototype. So it looks like you're getting a real impossibly tacky gift.
It's only good, though, see, in my family, they tear it open so fast that they probably wouldn't even notice. This $8 box, they go, oh, what's in here? Oh, a sweater, thanks.
So
you got to, it's only going to work with people who are a little more leisurely. They take off the wrapping paper. They say, "Oh, look, you got me a what? A turn and churn?
Yeah.
Spit and slide?"
And then when you open the box, there's 2 flaps that open up and says, "You've been pranked. Your real gift is inside."
I would take those off. I don't see any need to. I think it's pretty obvious.
Well, it would be terrible if you opened it up and there was a little smartphone in there and someone said, "Yeah, but where's the tech neck?
I want the tech neck.
I wanted the tech neck."
I was all excited about the spit and slide, the race to the drool pool.
We put aside time to do hay in the needle stack. The whole family's going to play.
Oh, wow. This one's really disgusting. It's red spit versus blue spit in this ultimate downhill race.
Oh, my God.
You get these special Loogie Chews candy to get the saliva flowing. Oh, God, it's awful. Oh. Dick, we're going to see you in Vegas at CES.
Yes, sir. I'll see you one more time before that, right? January 2nd?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be here. Yeah. So never mind. Forget I said anything. I'll see you right before we leave. It'll be like on the way out the door.
Yeah, out the door, exactly.
All right. So you know what? Do your CES preview this year. Stuff we're going to see. And then, of course, we're going to do a bunch of we're going to visit the Sands Expo Center.
Yes.
Where the junkiest stuff from the Consumer Electronics Show, all the knockoffs, stuff like that.
Well, in the basement. So
in the basement.
Because now the Sands has, like the smart home.
Well, I'm glad you clarified.
Office and all of that, yes.
when you say let's go to the basement, I won't get scared. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll be putting that on our Twit feed on the youtube.com/twit. We actually are going to have a ton of coverage from the Consumer Electronics Show. I haven't gone in years. And I thought I ought to go. So, you know me. We're going to do
You would be so. Yeah, I know. And you are like a god over there. That's the problem. Walking around with you, we don't get far before you're mobbed.
That was then. I don't anticipate much attention this year. I haven't been in 8 years.
No. I'll do what I do every year. I'll walk ahead and say, this guy's called Leo Laporte. When he comes down here, go over and make a big fuss.
That's better than the last time when you had a bell and said, shame, shame. He was walking behind me the whole time. Shame. Dick DeBartolo.
Got the flu.
Go to gizwiz.biz. That's his website. You can see what the heck is it contest. A chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Winds up at the end of the month. So hurry, gizwiz.biz. And don't forget his great podcast, gizwiz.tv. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your holidays, Dick.
The same to you, pal.
And I'll see you in the new year.
I'll see you in the new year. It'd be great.
Take care.
I love this show.
I do too. Thanks, Dickie D. Thank you, Lady Laura, our musical director. Thank you, Kim Schaffer on the phones. Thanks to you for joining me. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.